Evening, fellow skeptics. Lester the Skeptic Tank here. Just thinking about what happened in the last couple of days. And I'll start off by saying to those who work call center jobs, I feel your pain. However I did this, however I was able to survive 5.5 years, and I know people who have survived much longer than I did. But I feel for you guys, and I understand. And yes, it does sound like I'm talking for all of them. But I would like to say and like to think at least 70 to 80, maybe even 90% of the workers who take on this job, they want to do right by the customer. Going back to what I've been reading in James Yeager's Four Pillars of Fighting, and the most interesting section is the listing of what happens when we go through an adrenaline dump. And when that happens, the common phrase I've been starting to hear, you default to the level of your training. So just like I feel for many delivery drivers like Uber Eats and other services, Grubhub being another, DoorDash, etc., or even those who do Uber, Lyft, etc., I feel for them. Because just like in my line of work, I want to take a lot of what I am given in good faith. So they rely on tools and applications to enable them to perform their jobs to the utmost of care and efficiency. So for that, I am with them. Now, we all want whatever service company we call in for support, we want them mainly to resolve our reason for contact. Okay? So in the last 2 days, I've fought through my inability to get into my online banking account. And I ran into this odd cycle of getting access to my account, then getting access prevented. Now, one of the first things that needs to happen when anybody calls into a support line to sufficiently solve an issue, we all want that to be solved on the first call. That's usually what a lot of centers strive for. First call resolution. Now, depending on what metrics are utilized at a given site, company, whatever, that could mean someone's job. In all honesty, my first go around, I had one too many no's for their liking, so I was let go. Oh well. Fast forward maybe a year, not exactly a year, a little bit less than that, and I've struggled through that. But going back to first call resolution, that's ideal. If you can resolve the issue, at the very least, we want well established breadcrumbs so that we can go down a path that could ultimately lead to a sustainable solution or a lasting solution, particularly when it comes to an issue. So part of that, it has to be proper discovery of what is called root cause. What is causing the issue? So one of the so I understand, and this is where my empathy grows, particularly when it comes to that industry. A lot of places focus on a metric known as average handle time. Now, I've been roughly 5 years removed from that environment. That's my rough guess. February 2018 was when, not that I left the industry wholesale. I went back, during the Rona times in 20. I did a temp job, so I did go back to working at a call center. I have no qualms about it. I've been there, done that. And I think I'm teachable. Anyway, so average handle time is often, because depending on the type of contract people are on, a lot of the ones, at least in my experience, and the site I was attached to for the 5.5 years I was there, a lot of the contracts that we were given were per minute. So that's why average handle time is often tried to be kept at a minimum, or at least a minimum threshold that the provider of the contract wanted. So if you kept it at an average, so the law of averages would end up that your either weekly handle time, monthly handle time would be, for example, depending on the contract, some people would want a handle time of 6 minutes on the phone. Some would want 12 to 15, maybe 18 minutes. That's pretty generous. Depending on the kind of complexity the agents would be expected to encounter. So I get that. And that's what I kind of felt over the last couple of days when I tried to tackle this inability to access my online account. It took 2 agents to work with me and figure out root cause. Someone had the wherewithal to listen to me and part of my story, because part of it was on me. I'll take that. I'll own that. But someone had the awareness, as I was letting them know some things I've observed, that it kind of lit a light in their head. Oh, I got to take you over to tech support, because I was just getting nowhere. I would say, okay, great. I would log into the account, apparently. And this might lead me into another video. I might just do a separate video in terms of, quote, browser wars, which I think is a moot point. A lot of browsers do a lot of the same stuff, and it's just a matter of preference, in the sense of, what is it you need your browser to do? But a lot of what people need to do, a lot of the browsers can do. Anyway, I'm still trying to figure that out. Okay? So, anyway, I told them my incident with my mobile banking app, which I rarely use except for mobile deposits, just because ATMs can be rife with certain diseases, or just diseases in general. Just get away from ATMs. Okay, those who took the fight will know that lesson, and I think you I don't remember, but I might have gotten that talk from Fighting Pistol as well. Anyway, um, but number one, when I logged into my mobile banking app, I log in and I'm asked to validate. I have this trusty RSA device. You know, don't need to download an app. It was shipped to me by my bank. Gives me authentication codes, and it's going to expire in a month. So I got a budget for that. Okay. So anyway, I noticed right away when I tried to validate through my banking app, then the code wouldn't be accepted. It would accept the code when it was set to my email. Now, granted, I've had incidents where I use alternative authentication methods, but I found it intriguing that the technical agent I was given finally had the awareness to, hey, let's go ahead and resync. Okay. That was the root cause of my cyclical occurrence. I didn't think much of it until I tried using my RSA device to authenticate on the website. Now, I'll probably talk about this in a separate video, but basically what it boils down to now is I can authenticate now through my RSA device, but mainly through Firefox. I don't want to go through the weeds of trying to figure out why I can't do that through Vivaldi. So, again, when it comes to my fellow call center workers, and you guys know who you are, I might share this out actually to Facebook. I usually don't like to bleed my social media, even though I know it's very popular to do that. Yeah. I try to keep, because a lot of what I put out here, I have certain people in my Facebook experience that might have eyebrows raised. But anyway, for those who work call center or still work call center work, I feel for you. And it's not easy to pick up on that stuff. I suppose one of my strengths, if I were to be asked, what are your strengths? As long as I'm given what the bullseye is, I can easily say, that's off the mark. That doesn't appear to be normal. So, just listen. And as long as you're given the right bullseye to, this is how it's supposed to work. And if it works in a way not lined up with that, then you kind of have to have your BS detector go off a little bit. I don't know about nutty or batty, but your BS detector has to be working. And then figure out, okay, is that the root cause? So I didn't know. That's a lesson for me, that if my RSA device that should be linked with my account, I'll say, hey, I need this resynced. And then great, problem solved. I was fairly frustrated because I'm in the midst of building up, and that's probably another video in itself, in the midst of building up my use of Biz. I think I've alluded to that with at least one video. I was kind of struggling and trying to build my own, so I'll do something about that in a separate video. All right, well, thought I'd get that out there, and I don't know if it's like a little apology, but I hope it's an understanding of what call center folks go through. And I do feel for those who I know that are under the gun about handle time, and you might default to the lowest common denominator within your training experience. So if you're in a position to pine for better training, do so, because that can make or break anybody's customer experience on the one end and then the agent experience and working experience on the other end. All right. Well, fellow skeptics, thank you again for your patience and your time. I saw that I had some new subscribers. Cool. I'm still trying to see if I find it worth my while, because supposedly I'm at the threshold to live stream from my mobile. I always like this. I always say time and place, time and place, time and place. But yes, part of that idea of smart technology is knowing when to leverage it and use it so it can enable you to do X, Y, or Z. So, on that very note, fellow skeptics, peace, and check you on the other side. All right?